Hello, it's your friendly neighborhood host, JT Wheatley, back again for another episode of the History of Comic Books podcast. This time, the conclusion of the life of Charles Schultz. On August 7th, 1973, the divorce proceedings were heard by the Honorable Lincoln F. Mahan between Charles and his wife Joyce, and Charles not contested. Joyce married Ed Doherty on April 8th, the following day, at the Kenwood Community Church, with their kids not invited. September 22nd, 1973, Charles met his Jean at his new home in Santa Rosa. He 50 and she 34. He honestly felt that they were a good match because neither fit in. When their marriage ended, Charles avoided Joyce afterwards, and while she was awarded custody of the kids, all but Meredith would choose to live with him. In Peanuts, Lucy was diminished as a character, with many critics noticed that she could become milder in tone. In fact, in the last football gag strip in 1999, it was Lucy who had the gag taken from her when she told another friend to do it to Charlie Brown, but when Lucy asked if he did it, the friend replies, "You'll never know," to her anguish. On October 24th, Sally made friends with the school building, which came to represent Ginny in the strip, who in real life had made Charlie more outdoorsy. Ginny would travel the world, though rarely with Charles, who was unofficially diagnosed with agoraphobia, or the fear of outdoors, despite his wife's efforts. He did join her on Oregon's Rogue River in July of 1975 as part of research of the Peanuts' third feature-length film, Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, joined by Lee Mendelsohn and 16 other friends. His son Craig also became a licensed pilot and would personally fly his dad around. Interestingly enough, Charles Schultz once threatened to quit Peanuts back in 1977, and when it looked like he was serious, United Features syndicate William C. Petit planned to have Alfred J. Patisco take over. However, Schultz eventually settled on a new contract that pleased him, and by 1980 it was settled that he was truly in charge of Peanuts and no one would follow him upon his death, as per his wishes. By 1983, his work was in 2,000 papers and even had a retrospective in the Louvre. Ironically, with his success at age 70, he finally felt adored by women. Schultz also got to enjoy his first grandchild when Meredith gave birth to Dina Marie Fredrickson on September 1st, 1974, naming her after Charles's beloved mother. Reportedly, he thanked Meredith with tears in his eyes for doing so. Later, his first grandson, Brian, was born on October 25th, 1981, by his son Craig and his wife Judy, while Amy delivered Stephanie Ann Johnson on October 16, 1983, to become the first of her 9 children. Schultz enjoyed being a grandfather and started to approve in strips. However, becoming a grandfather was a sure sign of aging, which he hated. On July 1st, 1981, Charles Schultz felt some chest pains, and when diagnosed, the doctors called for a quadruple bypass of his heart, which was something of 50 to 90% blockage in his arteries. Fearing surgery, he asked what his alternatives were, and his doctor informed him that he could live with it as long as he gave up golf, hockey, running, and anything else active he enjoyed doing. After thinking about it for a month, he had the surgery on September 2nd. During his recovery, he noticed he developed tremors in his drawing hand and feared for his career, but worked through it by drawing pictures on the hospital wall. By April 1985, Peanuts was on a full merchandising empire with toys, cartoons, and 40,000 productions of the You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown play. By 1989, that empire hit the billions with $1 billion in sales and with Schultz receiving 5 to 10% in royalties. He was ranked as one of the top paid entertainers in the world, next to Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, and Oprah Winfrey, Steven Spielberg, and Bill Cosby. Peanuts was second only to Disney in sales, and to this day, Snoopy and Mickey Mouse routinely trade places as the most recognizable cartoon character in the world. Note, he's even more recognizable than Charlie Brown at this point. By June of 1985, Snoopy was licensed to promote MetLife Insurance in a $30 million ad campaign with the slogan, "Get Met, it pays." With all this, Schultz's salary skyrocketed, going from $4 million a year in 1975 to $12 million in 1980 to a height of $62 million in 1989. That would settle back down between $26 to $40 million a year the following decade. Not bad considering his dad once bragged he would make $24,000 a year from Peanuts. Of course, Schultz continued to be embarrassed by his wealth, even joking, "Do you know anyone that owns 2 Zambonis?" This did attract a brief moment of danger when on May 8, 1988, 2 kidnappers broke into Schultz's house with the intention of taking Gene, but was thankfully scared off when his daughter Jill showed up in the driveway. Thankfully, no one was hurt in the incident. Peanuts was a worldwide phenomenon at this point, reaching 5% of the world's literate population, and the strip being translated in 12.5 languages. The Charlie Brown specials has been viewed 4.4 billion times. The success of Peanuts naturally saw other cartoonists flock to the field, hoping to have a sliver of the Schultz's success. A notable one was Garfield by Jim Davis, who shared an editor with Schultz, Roberta Billy Miller, and his growing success would spark Schultz's latent competitiveness, especially when Snoopy was briefly ranked behind Garfield in recognizability in 1987. Another competitor, at least a friendly one, was Lynn Johnson, the creator of the family strip For Better or Worse. He would actually mentor the up-and-coming cartoonist in advising her against the endings, happy or otherwise, and objected when she thought of killing off the dog Farley. He also did a foreword for the Calvin and Hobbes collection for Bill Watterson, who called Charles Schultz the elder statesman of comic strips. One thing that continued in his old age was his love of golf, and Schultz was a scratch golfer throughout his age, shooting his age on a regular basis and even scoring his first hole-in-one at the age of 72. On October 1st, 1994, he returned to Minneapolis for a tribute to him, and on June 28, 1996, Charles Schultz was awarded a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, adjacent to Walt Disney, who once tried to hire him so many decades ago. With all these accolades, Schultz took his first break in 47 years, from Thanksgiving in 1997 lasting all the way to New Year's Day. To cover for him, the papers reran the strips from 1987 to 92. As he reflected on his life, Schultz would take his greatest accomplishment was making so much of what little talent he had. However, Schultz would have a stroke, and in the medical examination, it was soon discovered he had colon cancer, was given 1 to 2 years to live by his doctors. As a result of his cancer, he had another stroke. With his health failing, Schultz sent a letter to his readers explaining he would be retiring in January, taking the strip with him. On February 2nd, Senator John N. Feinstein of California sponsored Senate Bill S-2000 to give Schultz a gold medal for his lasting contribution to the artistic world. President Bill Clinton would sign the bill into law on June 20th, 2000 of that year. Gary Trudeau, the creator of the comic strip Doonesbury, said in a tribute, "My career is all his fault," with numerous other cartoonists proclaiming he set the standard for the entire industry, such as Calvin and Hobbes' Bill Watterson, who called Schultz the father of the modern comic strip. On January 3rd, 2000, Charles Schultz dictated his retirement strip with the wish that it would end with him, and on February 12th, 2000, he died with his last strip appearing on February 13th, the following day. Peanuts and Charles Schultz linked even in death. Well, not exactly, as Peanuts continues to live on. Per his wishes, the strip is only in reruns of the ones he produced, though Boom Studios did produce a new comic book series with new material from various artists, though controversy over such a comic book being made against his wishes made it short-lived. Considering how autobiographical Peanuts was to Charles Schultz, it is understandable how no one else could take up his mantle. Currently, Peanuts is owned by DHX Media, with Universal Lock picking up the syndication when United Features sold its share in 2010. On May 2004, Fantagraphics published the first in a 26-volume series of the complete Peanuts, a collection of the entire strip, while on November 1st, 2015, a CGI movie, the Peanuts movie, was released to modest success, grossing $246.2 million worldwide against a $99 million budget. The film received positive reviews, especially for its authenticity to the original strip and cartoons. Bill Melendez's archive voice was used for Snoopy and Woodstock's voices. All the while, the Charles Schultz estate continues to get the royalties. With in 2006, Forbes ranked the Charles Schultz as the third highest earning deceased celebrity at $35 million the previous year. While in 2009, Todd Bonet, in his book Where Are They Buried? How Did They Die?, estimated that Schultz's lifetime earnings was $1.1 billion. For a man who once claimed you couldn't become a millionaire as a cartoonist, that was a level not even dreamed of. And that is the life of Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts comic strip, Charlie Brown, his dog Snoopy, and all his friends. From a simple son of a Minnesotan barber, he created an empire from a comic strip about a melancholy kid and his crazy dog, and remains the standard for all comic book strips to this day. Not just in success, but also in quality. Charles Schultz and his creation, Charlie Brown, may have been considered themselves losers, but in actuality, you couldn't be a bigger winner than those two. I would like to thank the chief source of these episodes being Schultz and Peanuts by David Michaels, an excellent biography on the legendary cartoonist that also features his Peanuts strip throughout, showing just how autobiographical Peanuts was to Charles Schultz. And he was probably right in that when he dies, the strip should die with him, as Schultz and Peanuts were essentially one and the same. It should be noted that this book has been criticized by the Schultz family for factual errors and interpretations, but it does remain insightful nonetheless. Pick it up wherever books are sold.
positive than a New Day pancake. More fun than a super kick party. It's the wrestling podcast from the host, who is the hammer swinging, burrito eating, well, you know the rest, of Thunder Talk. Sexy Thor! It's the Ring of Thunder, found in the Thunderverse and among the great podcasts of the ESO Network.
And now it is January 23rd, 2025, time for the favorite comic of the week. Ultimate Spider-Man number 13 by Jonathan Hickman and Marco Checchetto, which is a great issue that picks up on the crazy cliffhanger from last month, in which we find out the face of Peter Parker and Harry Osborn they've been captured by Kraven the Hunter, and with a few other members of the Sinister Six, they tend to put into a pretty dangerous trial. Meanwhile, someone else has taken up the mantle of Spider-Man in their absence. This is just another great issue by Hickman that really shows a nice twist on the Spider-Man mythos and gets some great twists in there. You love who ends up being the Spider-Man while Peter's been captured, and it really ramps up the tension too. It's like, oh wow, they're really in deep. Peter and Harry are really in deep trouble, and I love how they incorporate the other members of the Sinister Six, both Mysterio and the Mole Man, show up and are used to very good effect here, especially when they're put through Kraven's hunt, as they were. So this is just a great and fun read. And of course, matched by Checchetto's gorgeous artwork, which really shows off when you see the setting that Kraven puts them in. This is, bar none, the best Spider-Man book in the stands right now, and everything Amazing wishes it can be. But unfortunately, if you read the latest issue, Amazing just keeps going downhill, sadly. So not much else you can do about it. But hey, we always have the Ultimate Spider-Man. Just keep going to that. And with that, we will conclude with this conclusion of the 4-part Archives of the Life of Charles Schultz. Join me again next week for, well, we'll see where we go from here. Like I said, I've been working on some new episodes. We might get some more, might not. Got a little delayed down here because, well, we had another little weather event in the south. We don't do well with cold weather. It's it's crazy. We see little snowflakes and everything shuts down. What are you gonna do? But hey, when it's up north in the 90s, they close schools for some reason. I don't know. But we'll get there eventually. But till then, go ahead and enjoy just a good comic book, and definitely check out Ultimate Spider-Man. Still the best Spider-Man comic book on the stands.